Is that change?
You guys,
I'll call it. Terry Dunleavy. She's in Baltimore. John Hopkins with inoperative tumor in the center of the brain.
Okay.
And what happened is she was
Because I know
falling
they're more competitive.
and I was
I
able
think
to
that's low.
sometimes it's close.
Way low.
They're trying to get her she went to Dome with CBPH, she ended up being a and they determined that she had
So today.
a tumor there.
Biggest trouble
So,
with Canada is
so
that
they're
they're
on-
on. Stuff that's gotta be done down there.
And they determined down
Yeah,
there
like $1,000
that
a
it
year.
was, at that point, inoperable.
So they make
She
sure
also
also
was
got
on
before
program.
employment.
It was very rapid.
No, don't go in line.
After employment.
How we do
Good, how are you? Haven't you completed it out?
We're all out of whack. The,
You
unemployment.
have nice weather. at least.
Oh, you can't believe how nice.
I know.
It's in the 50s.
They both go
Yeah.
on
So she's
security.
still in
And you'd be hitting,
Park.
you'd be hitting the bad road. So.
That's not the strength, doesn't it get down like years around, but it might get to here, like, you know. And so far, like,
Everything else, you
it's
gotta
basically
work on it.
rheumatoid.
All down around. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's rheumatoid. Not good.
Well, the Bills, depending on injuries
I
and
was
stuff,
there for 20 years and.
they have a chance to go all the way.
Stuff
But there's still a lot of games to play.
Keep
Yeah,
up with it
oh,
all.
yeah, but still, it's nice to see them.
Captains and stuff. That's
They're
why we
doing
get
it
to
well.
have
They
fun.
are.
It looks good down
And they're
there.
more of a.
Hot rocks back,
Which is what they need to be to win.
you know, they manipulate.
To be a champion,
Yeah.
like the Chiefs, you gotta play good.
How do you feel to do
Good
it? Do anything special? Yeah.
Anything.
So you're still cooking up a storm?
How's it going?
Very nice. Very good.
It's hard.
Our campsites.
First down.
Yeah.
You might help penalties.
The closest one,
Yeah.
Deer River, that has a cabin. It's like,
They were trying to explain it.
The most ambiguous thing is when they say it's first and goal. Or second and goal. So they could have 2 yards. Or they could be 10 yards away. Or if it's a penalty, they could be first and 15. Okay, to get.
That's good flavor too.
So that's something. we have to-
Oh, my God.
I know they kicked the ball.
Maybe.
And they,
Yeah.
for last week.
Maybe they change that. to-
Boy.
Okay, there's too much speed, too many violent things, and too many violent. injuries. So now,
Yourself?
Oh, really?
You survived the flag and banner. You survived the detail the other day?
What's that?
The flag and the banners removal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You had good weather, like, ah.
Yeah, can't complain about
Good.
What about the Buffalo Bills, huh? My team squeaked by, but they only got beat by 46 points.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
The Lions have a tough team too this year.
What's that?
The Lions, they played the Lions,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
Lions are
Lions
good.
got a real good team.
Yeah.
Jack's got a real bad team as usual. 30 years I followed that team.
There was,
What's that?
it was 20, 25 years ago, they made the playoffs. You know?
Well, they made it in 2017.
Yeah.
They
I
went
think
to
they
the-
knocked the Bills off early.
Yeah,
First round.
they knocked off. I've seen them take it over for 23 years,
Yeah.
you know, until I moved up here.
Yeah.
That was painful most of the time too, but other than that.
Well, I kind of took up the New England Patriots. And we had a lot of glorious years,
Yeah.
and now we're in deep pain. Okay,
Well, you lost Mr. Brady.
yeah.
We're talking about Belichick going to the Jags. I don't think he wants to go to the Mets.
The problem with Belichick,
Hey, quiet, hard time.
he wants
Study.
to be the
Study.
general manager
How are you, Lawrence?
in most owners, okay, not allow that to fly. Different people.
Maintenance.
Stepping stone.
Detriment place.
And he demands to do
I put too much
both.
time and effort into this.
And, you know, there's always the controversy, was it him or was it Brady? You know,
Is both of them together.
well, yeah, but Brady goes for the Bucks and he wins a world championship there too.
Way too much time and effort into this.
Are we,
Yeah.
at 6:30?
Close enough.
Okay. A motion to open the budget hearing. Jim makes the motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm basically gonna start with the summary page, okay, of the budget. When we last met, we talked about the preliminary budget. I was really trying to do it with a tax increase of only 2%. But after struggling over the last couple of weeks, okay, we're winding up, okay, with a 5% tax increase in that area. So that's collecting through $304,084. So that's what we're looking to collect in the tax levy in the general budget. In the highway budget, we're looking, all right, at different points, whether it's tentative or preliminary budget, we were looking at a 17% increase there. And we paired it back by using fund balance, okay, to a 12% increase. This means we'll be collecting at that rate $445,920. When we look at the sewer, there's no tax increase in the sewer budget. We used, as you can recall in previous meetings, we increased the sewer rates, and so therefore we garnered more revenue. So keeping that at a 0% tax increase. The water budget is pretty much the same. We increased the rates for the users that take in water, and so we use that to balance the budget. So there's a 0% tax increase in that area of the budget. The light district remains at $14,000, and that's a 0% tax increase. The last thing that you see on that page is the fire district, okay? The fire district had a rate of $104,399 for 2024. And they're looking, okay, at a hearing, an increase going up to $114,758, which is a 9.9% tax increase. There's a couple of things I want to point out, okay, in the fire district budget. There was confusion in the 2024 budget because in one part of the budget, and I have it here and I can show you, it shows taxes to be collected was $104,399. But when you went down a couple of lines, okay, the fire district was asking for a 2% increase of $106,487. The larger number was never collected as for taxes, only the $104,399. So they had that rate for 2023 and for 2024. So they were looking to recoup their losses. So they submitted a budget to the town where the taxes would be for $14,758, which is a 9.9% increase. And that's a $10,359 increase in that area. The fire district also took the route, okay, of passing a local resolution in which they could override the tax cap. And they passed that, all right, on October 15th, so they could go above 2%. And if anyone's interested, all of the paperwork on the fire district and what they did and how they're spending money, there's copies here of which they submitted to us. Go ahead, it's for you to take. And again, they didn't follow the pattern showing, they're just showing what they're gonna do in 2025. There's no frame of reference of what they did in 2024 and 2023.
Is that by choice, or do they submit a different form to us? Or do we know?
What you have there is what they submitted to us.
Okay, I understand that, but is there a different form that we should have gotten, or do we know?
This has been going on for years, okay, according to Lawrence, okay? And they should use a different format.
They should, okay.
I'm sorry about all the paper and all the numbers, but it's all relevant information, I feel. Oh, you got that? You got that? There it is. So also on the front desk here is a copy of our local law number 1, which we passed on November 4th, which allows the town of Waverly to go beyond the 2% tax limit. And the law allows us to do it for the 2025 budget only. This law only applies to the 2025 budget. This law was passed, and according to proper procedure, it is the responsibility of Debbie Frazier, the board clerk, to forward this to the Department of State down in Albany. So
Which
this
I
is
did, I certified it, and they sent it, I got the reply back.
right, exactly. So this was formally, okay, submitted to the proper authorities in Albany. That's what you,
Resolution,
yeah, you gave me this.
okay. I just.
That you probably don't have, fire district. She should have sent that.
She did send me a budget, I just want to make sure it's the same one.
The last document is to show you the effect on taxes. So that shows what it means, okay, in terms of tax increases. The general budget is 5%. Did you get one there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm showing what it means for the general budget, which is a 5% increase. You also see what it does for the highway budget at a 12% increase in what we're gonna collect in taxes. Did I give you this? I think so. Yeah, I'm killing the paper. And then I did a calculation of what it means for the fire district. Note that the total assessments for the general budget and for the highway budget is $67 million. However, when you look at the fire district, they have a greater assessment of 71 million some odd. So because there's more assessment, even though they have a high rate of taxes, it kind of brings the tax rate lower because it's spread out over more assessment.
That's because it covers parts of Santa Clara.
Right, right. These are things that I never knew before, which you, the Office of Real Property sends all this information to me, and so you have to look at it. So Lawrence, you asked me, okay, a couple of weeks ago, what was our equalization rate? It's 66%. 66%.
So that 100,000, if you were assessed at 100,000, that wouldn't be the right figure, 2134, because 60, what'd you say, 66%? If you're assessed at 100,000,
Right.
the state is saying that your home value is 34% under assessed. And therefore, that's what you're gonna pay taxes on. An additional, on a $100,000 home, it would be $134,000.
On this, where I calculated all these tax rates, okay?
It's on the assessed value, not true value.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. The assessed value.
That's like this past year, why I paid 8% less in school taxes than I did the previous year, because Dickinson, equalization rate was even lower. So everybody in Dickinson paid a higher school tax, and most everybody in St. Louis Falls paid less. But even though the school raised the taxes 2%. That's why it's important for our, to do a revaluation and get up to 100%.
By doing all these figures, okay, that's certainly something that should be done.
Even though everybody in the town of Waverly is not 34% under assessed, the state, once the equalization rate hits that, everybody pays that extra, no matter
Right.
what.
Right.
So I just want to make, so this assessed value, like you say, you'd have to add 33% onto this in order for the tax.
The state is saying that we're assessed, our equalization rate is 66%. In other words,
Yeah,
we're 34% under.
under the thing.
Yeah.
But in the final outcome, would that be right? Then, say your house was assessed at 100,000, would it be actually assessed at 133,000 at that rate? Is that what you're saying?
That's the way I understand it.
Yeah. Well,
100.
when I created these rates, I got out my tax bill from last January, okay? And I looked at these, the tax rate per thousand, all right? And it seemed to be, and I looked what was on my tax bill. These were very close, okay, to what when you calculated it out, this was very close to the rate that I was paying here, all right? So I believe these, I'm not saying these are perfect, but I think these rates are close, based on my calculations as I compared them to my tax bill. Remember, Roger, I showed you, okay, that, how that was close, these calculations? Any other questions? And this is it's a massive document. I've done my best, okay? There's gonna be mistakes, okay? But I looked at over and over again. Roger Hartson, okay, was invaluable, proofreading a lot of things, questioning things, okay? So board members have seen this too, so they can look for mistakes, okay, particularly when it comes to the math. Okay? You gotta be very careful. One of the things that I kind of struggled with was my predecessor, I felt, okay, went too far in some of the estimations of revenue, okay? So I tried to be very, very careful, particularly in the general budget. I felt revenue predictions were too high, though I've come close to some of it.
Well, there was no doubt that you were gonna have to raise taxes. Way the budget was done in past years. There was no serious looking at actual figures and everything. It was just done by,
2%.
yeah.
That was it.
We went, we go to QuickBooks and see, what was there to spend, and then how much we spent. So we looked very carefully at that, particularly in the months of August, September, October, November. Because we're getting down to the bitter end. Any other questions? Any questions from the board, from the public?
I think you've done a good job, and I know this has been a hard job to do. You and Roger have done a good job.
Well, if there's, all right, Jim,
I make a motion to accept this budget as the final budget for 2025.
you need a second? Cindy Durant seconds it. All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. We have a budget for the 2025 fiscal year. I'm sorry, okay, Jill Susi is our new council person. She was elected here on November 5th, and so she will be our council person, all right, for 3+ years. All right? So welcome aboard. I'm sorry, I meant to do that right at the beginning of the meeting, okay? But welcome aboard,
Thank
okay?
Congratulations.
All right, we're done with the budget. We're gonna go to a regular meeting now. So you have an agenda for the regular meeting. Get the paperwork's way out there. You want to get more? So I guess I need a motion to open up our regular meeting here on November 18th. Jill makes the motion. Jim seconds it. All those in favor? Let's stand for the pledge for the second meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want these two?
Yeah, I got one of those.
Oh. Can we back up? Let's adjourn the budget hearing. Tim makes the motion, Jill seconds it, all those in favor. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
All right, so we have approval of the minutes of the previous meetings that we had. We had a regular board meeting on October 28th, and then we had a public hearing on November 4th. Any comments or questions on the board meeting minutes as well as the hearing that we had?
On page 2, the third paragraph, NYMER is NYMIR.
Y,
M is in Mark,
I,
IR.
thank you.
Yeah.
A motion to approve the minutes of October 28th. Tim makes the motion, Jill seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. Then we have the minutes from the public hearing on November 4th. Motion and a second, please. It's actually attached to the back of these. Cindy makes the motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. Public hearing minutes are approved. Supervisors report. Monthly bills and financials, you have all of the financials for the month of October. Any concerns, questions? All right, if there's none, we'll move on, okay? Discussion of SRF scenic campground expenditures. Then you have a revised, it says revised money spent in 2024 on the campsite. So the big change is, in the previous printout that you had, we showed all of the unemployment checks for the 2 employees that they could collect in the time that they were unemployed. And what I discovered is that it's inappropriate. That's not a valid thing, okay? So I checked with our payroll people, and the unemployment, okay, when they're not working for the town, for both individuals, is $1,775. That's what the town of Waverly pays, okay, for those two employees unemployment. Now, we pay a bigger number, okay, for all our employees, but that's what is paid out, okay, for the two, that might or might not be collected. So, when we look at this revised expenditures, we're actually, okay, made money of $3,990.56. Any questions on that? All right, moving on, if there's no questions on that, we have proposed costs for the scenic campsite for 2025. What we changed here was, there was a concern, and I only did it to the Rock Hill cabin, all right? I added 11 cents per day because we believe there's more electrical usage in that cabin. So we looked at charging, okay, $175, okay, which is 11 cents more than what we're charging in the other cabins. It was also pointed out that the Rock Hill cabin should have a 3-night stay. That recommendation was made at the last meeting, all right? And, so those are the changes there. So we've kind of talked about this for the last 3 or 4 meetings. We're pretty much trying to raise revenue by increasing what people pay to come to the campsite. So they're paying, $100 for a season. They're paying $20 more per day. But the big thing is, we're doing a utility fee. They're paying for water, they're paying for sewer, and they're paying for electricity. Besides the rates, the normal rates that they would pay per day or for the season. And so we did a revenue estimates based on attendance in 2024, and we believe, okay, with all of these increases, the potential is there to garner $21,684.94. In addition, more revenue is going to be collected because we're raising rates in the campsite. Yes.
When was the last time that they've actually raised the rates for the campsite that you're aware of?
Shit, was Corey 3 years ago?
Corey's got the answer to that.
Back before COVID, we did,
About,
2019.
yeah,
And how much was that?
That was, for the seasonals, $100, and then, I'm gonna see, what was the other?
$10 maybe?
Seems like for the others,
Looks like maybe $10.
yeah.
Because there's no doubt, I've asked around and our rates are very low comparable to the area.
I checked with the Deer River campsite, and then there's a campsite up toward Cottington, I can't remember. Their rates were clearly higher. I don't have them in front of me, but they brought that forward in a previous meeting. That in comparison,
I think even some, we can actually raise it slightly. Because there's, comparatively, you look at some of the hotel rooms and with all the fees and everything else, and $85 a day is not much at all.
no, it's not.
No.
No, it's not.
And then when you're looking at the utilities, when you're talking only $1.64 a day, that's nothing. I think that should actually be raised.
So, just doing the math real quick, if we're open 180 days and we calculate our entire electric bill across the board evenly per day, it's $36.13. And then you would divide that per site, however many sites that would be.
Right.
But that would be our entire, all of our 5 light bills. Which eventually it's gonna have to go to that. It can't be just for specific meters. It has to be the entire electric bill down there.
You've got an excellent point.
We've talked about it several times.
Yeah.
It just needs to go that way in the future. Where we have an accurate dollar amount for electricity usage dispersed evenly across everybody.
Which would be all of the seasonal sites, and then the people who bring RVs in per day, and then all the cabins.
There's 29 sites, 12 cabins.
And then I'm sure the rates are gonna go up next year, so it's gonna even be even more.
But we also have to remember that some of our cabins need work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going into top cabins.
I mean, you'll have to find different avenues for revenue then, because unless you don't have the money, you can't fix it up,
Of course,
so.
of course.
I mean, just personally, I think we could probably make a little bit more, and then, I mean, when you look at Airbnb, the cleaning fees for a room is crazy, and then you have all the taxes, and, do we have to pay, I apologize for not knowing this, but do they have to pay Franklin County for occupancy tax or anything?
We don't provide linen, so we don't have to charge sales tax.
Okay.
That's what I was told, okay? We're not part of that, where we have to pay.
And breakfast tax.
Yeah.
What it's considered, it's $5 a day per unit.
So when you look at it, I mean, yes, we do have, they have to provide the linens and stuff, but still, I mean, it's a lot cheaper than a lot of other places, so.
Do we currently have a list of repairs that we're gonna have to make mandatory? And then those that we would like projected to the cabinets in the future, do we have a?
I'll have to be honest, okay, I don't have a breakdown of what each cabin needs.
I understand.
I do know this, in all probability, okay? New electrical lines, new water lines, new sewer lines for every part of the campsite. Basic getting the utilities in.
Would extending, of course, due to the fact this year we had more months where it was warmer, would extending the cabins and maybe the use of the facilities, would that help anyway? Because it's understandable whether, or what, we're in the Adirondacks, it can jump from one day to the next, but would it be a possibility to extend the camp staying open?
That's always a possibility because the weather is warmer. However, based on my observation just this year, after Labor Day, okay, the decline in rentals it drops off considerably. Well, you know, kids are in school, parents are back to work, all right? So and it increases during the weekends, okay? But it drops off. There's no comparison to what you had in the latter part of June, July, and August. After Labor Day, it's probably questionable to even extend it.
And with some of our cabins, the hot water heaters are not within the building, they're outside, so they're exposed to the weather, so they could freeze up. And our water lines too are not below frost levels.
One water break and every profit you think you made has gone right out the door in repairs.
That's traditionally been the reason why shutting it down, and then they blow the lines, okay? So, you're right, the rent on the surface.
Is very good point you had.
But you're right.
One break,
Yeah.
you're back to square one.
And like Jill's saying too, it'd be good if we could find some other revenue sources, whether it be grants through the state to make those infrastructure upgrades. And of course, under our current governor's administration through Parks and Rec and whatnot, there may be some funding out there. We just have to pursue it. You know, there's only so many hours in the day.
Explore hydronics.
Possibly.
You know, we already.
It's right on the snowmobile trail, isn't it? I mean, if theoretically, in the future, we could get grant money and stuff like that, to actually keep a couple of these open. But without a full staff, something like an Airbnb where they would have a key code on the door or something.
We could conceivably keep the Rock Hill Cabin.
Right.
We could, it was built for that,
True.
with that
Cost
intent.
of plowing would come into that.
Right.
Yes,
Maintain your roads in the winter.
And you'd still have to hire somebody, okay, to go in there
and
Clean up.
it.
and clean after the people
Yeah.
visit. You gotta clean it.
Do a cost benefit analysis to see
Yes,
what would be our break even point to make that happen.
How many days a week it would have to be rented out, or like the cost of whatever the expenses you're accruing.
correct.
But with season going longer. What about, like Columbus Day weekend? Does anybody know we get more tourists in? Because it's Canadian holiday and.
We close, okay?
Yeah, what I'm saying though is if we stayed open through that, would it make more money on weekend?
Right.
I mean, it would extending it for like a week.
I think, let's go back 7-10 years ago. I think maybe we were open, okay, to Columbus Day and or Native American Day or Canadian Thanksgiving. You can call it anything you want, okay? And it was still pretty quiet. But again, I'm just walking through Murphy. okay?
Well, I mean, things have changed since there's post-COVID and pre-COVID and stuff. But we are getting more tourists and more people up here, so. I mean, I'm just, something maybe we can look into.
How about has there been an increase of interest, let's say in the last 5 years with leaf peeping and such and the events happening later in the year than around local to draw people in to use a cabin? I don't know of anything. Do you, Corey, know of anything that goes on that's been increased in participation that we could draw from, or?
This year, our fall festival went from 80 people last year to 173 attending it this year. So that was a nice jump. In part because we got the grant to be able to do our featured attraction there, the locomotive. That is one of the key things. So that's, anyone has any ideas for next year, let me know, please, because we want to try to reapply for that. But yeah, in the vicinity, you have the Wilder Farm Day weekend, the Wild Center, St. Lawrence County, they have their steam engine and museum over there in Madrid. So it's hard to say. A lot of these things are transient, actually, people are passing through, but it'd be nice if we could attract them to stay for a weekend or whatnot.
What my observation here on the long weekend, whatever you want to call it, the leaves were pretty much done. Up here, the leaves, they were gone. They're gone. By then.
I mean, you still have the long weekend, and so the people.
Really pertains to the weather at this point.
Yeah, it
So major infrastructure is done down there.
Right.
You should be looking at going into cold weather, keeping those cabins, water lines, everything heated. The cost alone is excessive at this point until the entire infrastructure, at least water and sewer, is brought up where it can be left on year round.
You guys charge the same for a credit card or for cash? You just build that into it?
We do not accept credit cards,
Oh, you don't accept credit?
okay?
Okay.
It's check or cash.
Cash, okay. That takes care of it.
Yeah, most places are 3% fee if you get a
Yeah.
credit card.
Right.
That's what I was, that's what I was wondering. I didn't know you didn't accept credit cards.
Might get more people to do.
Yeah.
Until you go down there and do cost analysis of what this place is gonna, to even get it back. I mean, every fireplace down there needs replacing, picnic table, anywhere you look down there,
Needs work.
there's money.
Yeah.
And you're talking a $3,000 profit a year. So if you're gonna put any money into it, how's it gonna come back? How are you gonna get it back? If you're gonna take money, and put in that campsite down there and increase taxes, because that's what you'd have to do to even get this place back anywhere close to what it used to be. I mean, it's so run down there, it's unbelievable. I mean, I did it, my last year on the board in 2017, I went through there and I had the list, I was gonna give it to you, on each cabin, and it was very costly back then. I can't imagine what it is now, because they did nothing to them. So, I mean, until you go down there as a board and come up with a figure of what it would be to put that campsite back, not where it was, but
200,000, whatever. yeah.
Easily.
300,000 or 400,000, I would
Yeah.
say. Even the, the price of material and labor today. So,
One solution to all of this, okay? Because a lot of things come across my desk, okay? And there's organizations, we'd have to get a waterfront grant, okay? A big time grant, okay? So we could throw the money in and improve the place. Because we can't do it, with the local taxpayers, or we can't push the revenue up too high
no,
until we improve the place.
right.
So the solution is finding a grant. And everybody says, when are you gonna fix the bridge, okay? And that would be a lovely thing to fix. I don't know much, but I bet you it would be $250,000 to redo that bridge properly, maybe more.
It probably closer to 500,000 like they did over in, where was it? Over on the Oswegatchie or somewhere.
Wanakina.
Wanakina.
I mean, you're not gonna be able to put the bridge across there unless you go by state specs. And you're talking $500,000. So,
And cost of extra insurance. Liability.
Well, it would be a big attraction, because then you'd have to develop the trails on the other side.
it'd
Okay,
have to be all reworked.
that's right. Especially from where the trail starts right across from my house, there's a steep drop there. And you'd have to have all sorts of little decks and steps to go down there, because there's nothing there. You have to go down over the rocks.
Is there any chance we could draw from Paul Smith's? Do they have any agencies where we could even take a weekend, like you brought up about the fireplaces and stuff like that? I know it's not a lot, but it would improve the place and build picnic tables. Is there any part of Paul Smith's that does anything like that in the wilderness, or it wouldn't cost that thing?
There are students that could do it. It's,
There's a rec program up there.
yeah, there's a rec program, and then you get the forestry club and forestry team and all that, and forestry guys. It's just a matter of getting them and getting time.
Right, and we'd have to purchase the materials.
Yeah,
We'd have to bankroll all the materials.
but, I
And
mean,
then-
it is, yeah, you have to cover costs and stuff at least, but you probably could get them to do it. And then there are groups that, for community service, for like the clubs and stuff, I required community service for them to do community service, so, It's just a matter of how much and time.
We could even try just for a weekend or two. But like you're saying, now we gotta come up with money for the wood to build the tables. We have to come up with the cement and stuff like that. That's the question of where are we gonna draw the money for the materials, so we can start with that foundation and bring it before these people to do this. But we're in the Adirondack Park, so that has something to do with it. If they're part of the Adirondack, so they should be possibly involved in that, but like you're saying, we need money to get the wood.
You gotta have materials.
And I know we could probably get the wood cheaper from the Amish people.
You know, they'll pick the tables out of rough cut.
Yeah. So that's out too.
You gotta be, yeah, it's gotta be smooth. To eat on and to sit on. All right, so these costs for next year, are we gonna live with them? Do you want to tweak this?
I think it should go up a little bit.
Tell me how much, and I'll do the calculation. Tell me what you want to do, because
I know.
I'll be honest with you, I've fucked with this 3 or 4 times now, so I need help from now on, okay? If we're gonna finalize this.
I think we have to be careful, or we're going to, price the people right out of our campsites.
Right, you do it gradual.
I think we should be careful and do it gradually. I think this is enough of an increase for this year. That's my own personal opinion. And the guys that were here at our previous meetings seem to be okay with the increase so far. I think if it goes much higher, they won't be.
You're right, there were seasonal people here in September, and they saw a draft of what we were looking, and they were focused pretty much on what their seasonal charges would be, and they were
Right.
comfortable with the increases.
I think if it goes any higher, I don't think they will be. And it's now, you know, we can price it higher, but if we don't have people coming back to it, it's not gonna do us any good.
I just say at least I would increase, even make it even for the utility fees. Instead of $1.64, make it $2,
Right.
you know?
From a bookkeeping standpoint, that'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
it makes it easier and, just in case there is some
Right.
changes in the fees.
All right, so you're saying on the per day charges from 164, and I also have 175, removing all that to $2?
Yeah, it's not much, but it just makes the bookkeeping easier and,
Give you some wiggle room with your expenditures. so,
exactly. It's not much, but like you said too, but it's also, we're keeping the fees still lower. I think just long-term though, we're gonna have to come up with some alternatives to either raise money for it, or it's just gonna be a matter of, at some point, the repairs are gonna be needed too badly that we can't have it open anymore. So.
All right, so the utility fee will be $2 per day, all right? And then when we look at the seasonal people, so I did a quick thing at $2 a day times 151 days. So then they would be $302 as opposed to $247.64. Or we could round it off to just 300 instead of 302. That would be for the seasonal. All right, so we're changing for the seasonal, the utility fee will be $300 for the entire season. And then per day for the RV trailer sites, for the cabins, it'll be $2 a day. And I have a motion to accept these rates. Jill makes the motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Good job.
All right, I'm still working with the school. It's unfortunate, okay, but the superintendent really doesn't want to meet with me. The superintendent refers to the school attorney on this matter. So the strategy is to look back at the last lease agreement, and there's a clause called Section 15 holdover after the expiration of term. So I'm going to invoke that clause, right, and send them a bill. It'll be at the rate, okay, of 2024, which was $25,000. But we're going to be moving forward on that. And we'll see where it leads. So that's what we're looking at there. The school district has basically agreed we wanted $1,000 more. Currently it's $25,000, the lease agreement. We were moving it to 26. They were comfortable with the number, but they want to go to this different kind of contract as opposed to a lease agreement. And so we're going back and forth. So that's where we are with the bus garage contract. Any questions?
Well, this, and the document that you're going to send them, is there a time frame in that they have to come up with money to respond, or we move forward?
I'm going to charge them for the first six months. Okay.
And then you give them like 30 days to come up with it, or else it'll take.
Well, I'm not going to say, we'll have to decide what we're going to do if there's no action. Okay. They get a bill for 6 months. I want to be careful what I say because we're online with the whole world. Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, but they owe the town money,
That's true.
and they have for 6
That's
months.
true. That's true. Okay?
So they're
Or
working on it.
we want them to pay up, that's
Yeah.
all. Any other comments? Moving on. So there's a guy named Keith Shackett, and he works for emergency services for Franklin County. And he's doing this all over the county because there's rural areas in our Franklin County that there's no 911 numbers. So somebody calls in an emergency, right? Let's say it's 102 South River Road. Well, there's no corresponding 911 number. They have no idea where 102 South River Road is. So he's been in the process of taking every site where there's a building on the North River Road and South River Road and creating a 911 address. He came here and Roger helped him out. There was a couple of places he couldn't figure out, okay? So Roger did face-to-face, and so he's basically almost have it all done. So we're gonna keep the old addresses, but we're gonna add to all of our billing, we're gonna add the 911s. And at some point, I think they'll want, okay, people to put a number up.
In fact, the fire department had asked for that years ago too. If people would put up the 911 address in an obvious location at the residence, at the front door, hopefully, or.
Yeah, at least this year, you should send out a notification that they must
Right.
put up their numbers.
Right,
When you say certain numbers though, I also don't, we have a sign in our yard right now that says 388. That may get buried in the snow. We think we may have to mount it to the side.
Sorry, the building,
yeah,
something, either on the building or on.
so they can see it from the road.
Yep.
And that's the primary purpose is, if there's a fire, if there's a medical
call.
emergency, all right? Or there's a disturbance and they want law enforcement.
Right.
It's gonna bring these people directly to the spot.
Well, it's more or less for the people outside of town who respond when we can't or need assistance, because most everybody in town knows who everybody is. But Dickinson, Moira, Bangor, Dwayne, when they show up, they have no clue where they're going. And they can be driving in circles. They could be going to the Shanley Road, having to backtrack versus,
So this is a good thing when this, and the people who need the service. And this, as Keith had a short discussion with Keith, and he said, this is not the only place in Franklin County. There's many other rural areas that have the same situation, so we're trying to take care of the whole county with this. Any other questions? Okay, FEMA meetings. The bottom line is FEMA officials will be here in town on Monday, December 2nd to do a site visit on all of our claims. So that'll be a very interesting day. The big issue with all of this is, okay, that of course they're gonna approve some of our claims, all right? Because they're valid. But right now, okay, there's no fee, the claim's gonna be put in, but there's no money in Washington DC. Congress and the president has to authorize more FEMA money. So we're going down a path, but right now, there's no final solution at this point. And that's everybody in this county, St. Lawrence County, anybody with a recent weather phenomenon that caused all this damage, all right, they're in the same boat. Claims will be authorized, but the money's gotta be there. Any questions on that? We'll go on to the water and sewer report. UV system update. All right, so there was a concern that they put the rail system in, but there was no gate system. There's no plans for a gate, according to Aaron Jarvis. All right, so what the railing has to be taken down if you want to get in and out, and do what you're going to do, and then put it back on. So that's the solution there.
That's not a long-term solution.
Could they put a gate in there?
How hard is it to put a gate on it?
We'll take a look at it and we'll figure out how to put a gate in there.
Right.
Taking railings up and down with one guy or two guys is not feasible.
I know that's what they're doing currently. The railing is taken down.
That's just an accident waiting to happen.
OSHA.
Somebody falls and gets hurt and that railing's laying on the ground beside it, even though they're working in there, that's just not cool. So. We'll look into
We'll have to
it.
take care of it ourselves, okay? It's not part of the contract.
Good. Question answered.
So later on the agenda, all right, Aaron Jarvis is saying that we can make the third and final payments to TJ Fiacco. $14,250 is the third payment, and the final payment is $97.85. So the architect is telling us, okay, that we can pay the final bills on it.
I have a quick question on this, Ernie.
Yep.
We were looking into returning some of the materials that was purchased for this. Did we get any confirmation whether they're returnable or dollar amounts?
You know, I don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
And I don't think it was returnable, or maybe they've already been returned. I'll be honest, I don't know. So, since I don't know, maybe we'll just do the third payment and then hold on to the 97? What do you wanna do?
Find out if they can be returned.
I'm saying make one payment and then the final payment, hold on to it until I get an answer.
Yeah.
Okay? So we still have a problem with too much grease entering the sewage treatment plant. I sent letters to 4 businesses, and 2 of them clean their grease traps. The other 2 say that all the grease goes into the garbage, it never goes down the sewer drain, but we still have a problem. So there'll be letters going out to everybody who uses the sewer treatment plant, all right, with a plea not to put grease into the system. And the DEC, who is pushing us for this, is comfortable with us doing that. So there are guardians on this that want us to take care of this problem. So that's where we stand there. The new furnace for the water plant, it's like pulling teeth to get a quote, okay? So I know we're changing it to fuel oil. At one point, we were gonna go with propane, but since there's fuel oil there, so that's why we're looking at a new quote, because we wanna use the fuel oil that's there that also keeps the generator going when it's necessary. So we're still trying to move forward with that.
Would we move the fuel oil somewhere else? We have another use. I'm just saying, if we wanted to move to propane, is propane cheaper?
It's a diesel generator up there that runs the power plant. That's why we're trying to stick with fuel oil rather than have multiple gas units up there. Otherwise, you'd have to purchase an LP generator and have it all wired in.
So we're kind of going with the flow of what's there.
And
Sure.
truth be told, the fuel oil furnace is gonna be cheaper than propane furnace.
The drainage issue at the corner of County Route 5 and Duane Street. This is a lead into what Roger is gonna say very shortly. So I wrote a letter, all right, to Mr. Adams, who's the county highway superintendent. And he had all sorts of excuses as to why nothing could be done. That letter was also CC'd to our county legislator, Justice Martin, all right? He had it forwarded to the Transportation Committee, which is chaired by Paul Lozon. I was in the courthouse doing some business for the highway department, and I saw Paul Lozon, and I said, what has your committee decided to do? He says, no, we're throwing it back. Roger and Mr. Adams have to figure out what to do. All right, so big runaround. So this leads into Roger's report, okay? Tell everybody what you did up there by the church.
So, to follow up there, and Ed Adams hasn't come. We haven't spoken since the first issue. We had, we'll say, polite mannerisms, when we talked early this spring. So anyways, we went up the other day because the sinkhole's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's gonna be plow season here pretty quick. So we're gonna have trucks going across that, plows, payloaders, and it's just gonna get worse and worse. So we saw a cut, dug it up, and there's actually, where everybody says there's no storm drain, the storm drain is right underneath the new sewer line up there. Everybody claims the old storm drain sewer line was on the opposite side of the road, and it's not. So when whoever installed, whether it be Fiaco, Sheehan, whoever installed that sewer line, the new sewer system up through, they actually dug through part of the old clay pipe. It's a 6-inch clay pipe up there. And they decided to put a concrete union to splice 3 pieces of pipe together. And whether it's road friction, the construction that took place, that concrete right beside it, the clay pipe cracked. And that's what caused that boil to come up. As well as the county capping the end of the 6-inch pipe that used to go towards, which is an old storm drain, used to go towards the church. So they, or not, are gonna take that water with a French drain and a pipe, and we're gonna bring it down to the yard, whether the county likes it or not, because it is groundwater. There's no place else for that storm drain to go. It's plugged on the lower half of that, plugged right full of sand. And that could be 1,000 feet of plugged pipe. And we're not gonna disturb the new sewer line, trying to clean that all the way out, all the way down. We're just gonna bring it over to the corner, and that's what's gonna take place there. So hopefully, that's not gonna happen until the spring, just because winter's here and we don't have the materials to do it right now. So that's where that stands on County Route 5. We talked about getting a pickup truck from Santa Clara. They gave us a 2016, and I do say gave us, there was actually no dollar amount exchanged. Came with a plow, a beacon light, and wired for a CD radio. It's in way better shape than either one of the pickups we have now, like immaculately better shape. So we're very grateful for the town of Santa Clara to give that to us for the highway department. We are working with the APA, DEC, and Aaron, trying to get our gravel pit permitted, re-permitted. So the APA has not received a re-permit in almost 18 years. And it's supposed to be done every 5 years with the APA. So they're putting a little hold up on this. They won't allow us to haul any more gravel, disturb any more ground until Aaron Jarvis, our engineer, gets everything finalized and all the numbers accurate. And then it should be no problems moving forward from there. We're also working with the DEC to finish closing down the Dexter Road sand pit. We started reclaiming that about 18 years ago, 16 years ago, and then it just came to a screeching halt, and the permit has expired on that, and they're mandating either A, we re-permit it with no activity, or we finish reclaiming it. So we're working to get it reclaimed. Hopefully by springtime, we'll have enough dirt up there to finish covering all the sand with topsoil and get it seeded down. Other than that, I don't really have much. I'm looking at ordering some tires for our 2019 dump truck for this winter. I'm probably gonna hold off until first or second week of December, and then I can run it through next year's budget. We also need to have either 2 4-foot pipes or 2 5-foot pipes at the lake road. And if we do both of them, it's almost $10,000 for them 4 pipes. But we need to replace that pipe on the Lake Azonia Road. Hopefully by springtime, we'll have the pipes here to do that. That's a very costly pipe. It's a very big pipe. And it's already crushed. I mean, anybody who's been across it, it's up the sinkhole where we fixed it. Yeah, the pipe's actually collapsed almost 18 inches. Through years and years of decomp, and everybody just kept putting another layer of blacktop over it, another layer of blacktop as it settled every couple of years. We can't be doing that anymore. The pipe needs to be replaced. So that's on our list for spring. Hopefully get them ordered up here soon. And that's about all I got, Tyler.
Thank you, Roger. All right, action items. Well, we already took care of the SRF scenic campground rates for next year. And that's a good thing because people will want to know this because we start taking reservations starting December 1st.
You'll need a motion on that.
Okay. We have a motion to approve those rates. Jim makes the motion, Jill seconds it. All those in favor? Motion passes. Next action item is we're just going to do the third payment on the UV system to TJ Fiaco for $14,250. And we're gonna leave the 9785 in balance till I find out those materials returned. Cindy makes the motion. Second, Jill seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. All right, looking at the month of December, we have, if we go with the fourth Monday of the month, that's December 23rd. Monday, December 23rd, that's 2 days before Christmas. So do we want to move it up a week to the 16th? Make a motion, a second. Jim makes the motion. Cindy seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so Trish and I talked over the holidays. So the only day we feel that the town should close their offices is Tuesday, the 24th, okay, Christmas Eve. So we'd like to close town offices just that day. The Monday and Friday of that week will be open, and then the next week will be open Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, which will bring us into the new year. A motion to close. Jim makes the motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye.
Do we need a motion now to close it on the Tuesday, to the new year now? At a time, or?
No, because on Tuesday, December 31st, we decided we'd keep the office open. Okay? It's only New Year's Eve. I'm an old man, what am I gonna do? Okay?
I gotta work that day, so.
You know, it's next year, we're gonna do New Year's 2 with the same schedule. Because the next week after, and then when school, we get New Year's or the New Year's Eve off, so I'm just checking to see if the town offices are gonna be open during the.
Well, New Year's Day, we're not gonna be open.
Okay,
Okay, that's a Wednesday, we're off anyway,
okay,
okay?
perfect.
And then we'd be open that Friday, which would be the 3rd.
Okay.
Okay? So that week, we'll be open Monday and Tuesday, which will be the 30th and the 31st. And then we'll be open Friday, January 3rd. So that would actually be a normal week for us. And Trish and I talked this over, so we're not, it's not me, it's both. All right, so we don't have anything on the new furnace, but we made a mistake, okay, on the budget amendment. It's this sheet, okay? So we're gonna change, resolution 44 which was a money transfer, okay? The tax assessor account line is A1355.5, and we have a 0.4. So we're changing that 0.4 line item to 0.5. So can I have a motion to change resolution 44 to that account number? Tim makes the motion, Cindy seconds it, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. And you got everything you need, right? Public and board comments.
Is the Ken still down there for the shop room?
Okay, I asked John, everything was brought in and he's got it hanging from the ceiling in the wood area in the regular shop. And he says there's a lot of pieces, it's all inside and it's suspended. So we still own that, it hasn't been stolen. Yes,
Yeah, regarding the need for donation for wood, cement, other such building materials. Due to the fact this the campsite, having the campsite here does increase the business for the sportsman club. Would it be too much to ask the sportsman club for a small donation of, we'll say, I don't know what it is, maybe $1,000, maybe $1,500 to kick in to buy the wood so that we can contact Paul Smiths and maybe get these small items at least started. I know they have so much for a certain time of the year where they vote on it to donate it to the community. This is something that would benefit the campsite and also help with the people that go up and patronize the sportsman club.
So that's a good idea. However, in a previous meeting, all right, the Sportsman's Club, they gave donations to our beach program, okay? I think they bought 2 picnic tables, which are the metal plastic ones that we put together. They bought paint for the floor. They bought
Sinks and
more
faucets.
beach chairs, and what was the other thing?
Sinks and faucets.
Yeah, sinks and faucets, okay, for the beach house, okay? So you got a good idea, but we've already hit them up, okay? So, good idea, but maybe later on we can do that, okay, let some time pass.
Good idea.
Plus, I'm told there's a little hard feeling, okay, from the Sportsman's Club, and I don't know how prevalent this is. When they attempted to extend the water line and they were told by the town that they couldn't do it. So there's some ill feeling there.
But also there's a proper procedure that they needed to follow.
I agree.
Execute that.
I agree.
I think if what we could, they just had to do it right.
Right.
So thank you, okay, but we made some progress with it in another area of the beach.
No use drilling in an empty well.
That's right.
Well, the question is there any local businesses or local as in Malone, Wyra, any ones that we might be able to reach out to and then give them advertising credit and
One that comes right to mind is St. Lawrence Valley Concrete right down in Brushton. Think of all the vaults that have been put in our cemetery up here that we have bought through them. That'd be an easy avenue to ask Cinnamon down there or one of the others if they consider that.
So I'll reach out to her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
it's good PR, it's good tax write-off.
Yeah.
And also probably get, when they do start these projects, contact This Week or any local paper this week would love to cover something like this. The project's being done and the people from Paul Smiths, and they're gonna get credit for it. And maybe we could do something to further the program for maybe next year.
Those are good ideas. Corey?
I have some updates since our last meeting. I spoke with our county vice chair of the Board of Legislators, Andrea Dumas, and also with our district legislator, who is also on the Committee for Economic Development with Justice Martin, and to see if there's any grants available for us for the museum. And so happens that they put me in contact with the county grant coordinator, so she's giving me some avenues to pursue, so I'm working on those. I've also had the St. Lawrence County historian reach out to me for an update for their registry. And so she's put me onto another grant opportunity through the Greater Hudson Valley Network. And so surprisingly, we're considered eligible in that area to apply. So I've applied for funding for our veterans of the Civil War photos to be restored and preserved. The frames themselves have some damage to them. There's some watermarking down on the names down below the picture itself. So hopefully that'll be restored and preserved. This picture must be back to the 1860s, 1870s, and then possibly the 1880s, because there's two different ones. There's one that shows a larger group of the men from this post here. There's the Grand Army of the Republic post of the Durkee post. And then later on, it shows, unfortunately, the group was a bit smaller, so it must be they aged out, passed on, moved away, etc. So it's a nice example of what our men did here in this local community and surroundings. So hopefully I'll hear back on that. And then also we have a Grand Army of the Republic ribbon that has an enameled button in the middle and at the top of it. And the ribbon needs some work on it and restoration. It was a veteran from this area here that his family gave us that. So hopefully we'll be able to get that preserved as well. And they have a large pool of money that they get from the federal government to do this type of work because it's related to either national or also events. So this hopefully will be considered in that. So I'll keep you posted on what I hear from them. And if you have any suggestions or comments, feel free to email me, call me, Facebook me, whatever. Come at the door, 33 Duane Street.
Thank you, you've been very helpful, Corey. You've been very helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
They contact you about that.
Anybody else?
Put up their page.
Yeah, mine.
Our first AUD of the 3 should be coming close to approval, right? December?
All right,
I mean, there's 3 that have to be approved. I
yeah,
think.
but so this is the issue with this, okay? Because we were promised that all of these things would be done by Gray and Gray, okay, this summer. Because they had to do 2020, 21, 22, 23, and then 24 pretty soon, okay? So what happens is Gray and Gray, 2020 has been completed and approved. 2021 has been completed by Gray and Gray. It goes to the controller's office and it sits on a pile there. So that's where it is. It sits on a pile because they don't have enough people to process this. And so that has to be approved before you submit 2022. So we were promised a pretty speedy process in all of this. But now it's kind of 2021 sits in the controller's office, waiting for approval.
Is there anyone we can talk to make it move faster? Maybe a legislator or someone basically saying, we're trying to do the right thing, get up to speed, but.
We can't apply for grants until these are
Right,
done.
this is why I'm.
Right, so it's gonna, at this process, it's gonna be well into next year before it's all done.
If then,
And one has to be done
Before
before
the
you can
other.
move to the next one, because they want to see the continuity between the different budgets.
All right, Ernie. You might want to reach out to Debbie Jurr. She has several connections with the comptroller's office that she's been used over the years by our town and several other entities in town. She might be able to give you some guidance in that respect. Or help to-
Excellent recommendation, so I'll call her. And then why not write a letter to Billy Jones and see what he can do?
Really, yeah.
Have we heard anything on our emergency audit?
That's right.
No, absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
That's another thing. I wrote a letter in February for the audit, all right, and we're on a list somewhere.
How about the one in 2017 where they were gonna come?
Right.
Same thing, they aren't gonna
It's a
come.
form letter.
2017, they were said,
coming.
get full cord to get everything ready, they were gonna,
Give
do
us
an
an
audit.
itemized checklist of what to do and
I think once we get them all up to speed, we should pass a resolution that we don't allow. I mean, if not you're new, but in the past, it should never been allowed to get to 3 or 4 years in arrear.
That's for sure.
I mean,
That's
if we
for
show
sure.
just to say, listen, that's your job, actually, I think, and I'm not sure if I'm correct about this, but I heard that one of the only requirements you have is to file the AUD. That you have to do it regardless of everything else, and it hasn't been done, it's before you, but that this be held to any future supervisor in town as the board could possibly vote the supervisor out for failing to perform his duties and file in the.
Exactly. Because anything they wanted on 2021, they got everything that they wanted from this office. And then they put it together and do the report, so. So it's a dark shadow, okay, for me, because it's in arrears, but I'm not responsible. I'm only responsible for 2024. We'll keep chipping away at it.
Yep, no,
Quick question. How many concession leases are past due for unpaid fees?
I don't have an exact number, okay, but the total amount back is under $10,000.
Yeah.
So we've garnered quite a bit. And there's only a couple that owe for 23, 24.
But we should be looking at that,
Right.
right?
Because we want it, not to get ahead of them and they can't pay for it.
We've been taking partial
Oh,
payments,
Right.
we've been taking, and the money is coming in.
Mhm.
I'll have a report for you, okay, in December here, okay?
Usually that's always been a topic of the monthly agenda,
Sure.
to keep everyone ahead of the game.
I'll give a complete report.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A motion to adjourn then, please. Jim makes the motion and seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming to the meetings. At least somebody knows what's going on in this town.
Well, I worked federal contracts for 20 years. Federal contract manager, but I don't want to look for grass, but I can- I can do it.
Yeah. The biggest thing is finding
Not the one, yeah. Lease by GM.
And then provide them what they want to hear.
You can wrap your.
Right, yeah.
It's best damn idea to come up
My
with.
previous life,
I
did work.
gotta give you credit. So that extra work